This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everyone. It's an art form. Now I'm seeing this in a whole different light. I've been to different places. I've seen some on display, and I thought it was really cool, but never looked at it the way I do when I see their work. It is meticulous. They're very particular in terms of what they do when it comes to taxidermy. And we're going to dig back into that and so much more. She's one part of Leyba Creations. Christina is back on the program with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very well, very well. Do you and your husband have this business? Do you both get excited when you're about to do a new piece? I'm hoping that's the right way to describe it.
Yes.
You know, a skin comes in or somebody messages you and say, hey, I've got something. I'm going to send it your way. Do you get excited, like kind of like jacked up when you know that something's coming and we're going to work on this?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've got projects that we're planning on doing, and every project is individualized, especially with life sizes and stuff. And like, for instance, we did a cat recently, and it was a life-size cat with a deer, and it ended up, he wanted to piece it together as if he had a kill, and we basically altered the whole cat to, be pulling this deer out of like its habitat, and it was a big project, and it takes a lot of hours. And when we have that idea from our customers and we make it lifelike and better than what they imagined, that's what we love. We've got a couple of big pieces coming up. We've got where we're doing a life-size elk with a bunch of cats in a house, and we're building it in there, and we're going to have to piece a lot of that and go over there and actually structure it to work with their structures as well. So it's pretty exciting. We love projects like that, and it just makes it better because then we kind of, it's sets you apart, yeah.
That is different. I mean, it's almost like you're recreating sort of like the domain for the animals in their home. In their domain,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And, your habitat also adds to your mount too. So, and we don't like our habitat to overpower the mount itself, because that right there is the focal point. But, we like to really add to our habitats where not one is the same. We build all our rock to our animals and all our habitat to our animals. So every individual piece is different. People can send us pictures and stuff, but every piece is different. So,
So that particular piece, that cat, where it sounded like you said it was going to prey on another animal.
Yes.
You get that skin. Obviously, it's not going to be in that position. You can find a form that does that.
So no, a lot of times you can't find that form.
Wow.
And it's funny because you really, you have to know anatomy on these animals. And my husband who's amazing at it. He's the one that visualizes, and we really work together because I talk to the customer and get their input. And then I go to Lucas and I'm like, okay, this is what they're visualizing. This is what we need to recreate. And, those forms, for instance, we have a cat that hangs on a wall, and we got an inspiration from another taxidermist for that mount, but we called him and he's like, well, I don't make one that size. And we're like, okay, well, we're going to have to do something else. So we got a different form. He cut it up in about 30 pieces, and I never would have thought he could have. The form before and after is nothing like you would think it would turn out. And you really have to know the anatomy of an animal and know how each joint works and be able to alter that form to fit what they're wanting. And same thing with the cat that had the kill. He had to alter the head to rotate down, and he had to move feet, and he had to work the mouthpiece where it was over the deer. And then he had to pull the deer life like, and he used a shoulder mount. He didn't use a half life size, and it was a half life size, which was amazing. He pulled off feet from another animal, another deer, which was a half life size, and made it himself. And he's incredible when it comes to visualizing that and making it work.
I can't even imagine. And we can't ignore the fact that every animal is a different size. Every animal,
Yes.
it's not like cookie cutter where all cats of this
No.
type are this size. So now you have to adapt to that. Yeah,
Yes.
I can't even imagine. So are you telling us that you had to create that form for that pouncing, if you will?
Yeah, exactly. He had to move every leg. He had to completely take the neck and rotate it down and move that. And a lot of times, if it say the cat had a bigger belly size, but everything else fit perfectly, he'll split the form in half and widen it. Instead of just making it work, he tries to fill it out as much as he can. And because you want your animals filled out, you don't want to shrink them down. Everybody wants them as big as they are or bigger. And that's what he does. He'll split it open or he'll lengthen it. And that's not a problem. He'll do that extra work. Because, and it's not real, it's a lot more in terms of hours and putting it all back together. But, it just, in the end product, it just makes a huge difference.
I've always loved drawing. I love graphics. And in
Yes.
fact, my daughter is 17. She likes to paint, but she, doesn't like to draw. So she
That's
asks me
awesome.
to draw things. Sometimes they're
Yep.
animals. Even to draw what you're talking about, I'd be sitting there.
Yeah,
I mean, just the animated part of the animal or the movement line within the animal, like the arching of the back and all of that.
exactly.
That's a challenge to draw in itself. Now we
Yes.
have to take that and recreate that in whatever the forms are made out of. Is
Real
it a type of plastic?
So no, it's actually a foam.
Ah, okay.
Yes, it's a foam. So you can shave everything down, you can cut it and move it. And a lot of times they have rods, which are metal rods that help support that. And if you cut those off, you have to re-support everything as well. So, all those rods that are cut, you have to rerun everything. We're about to get a sheep done for a gentleman, and he's super excited about his sheep, and we're behind on it, right? So we didn't get it
Mm.
done, and we have to basically open the whole bighorn and hone out the whole body and rerun square tubing and weld it. You have to fabricate it, and that we joke because we're not just taxidermists. We're welders were, or my husband is anyways, and the taxidermists, they're incredible. They do great work. And but sometimes you got to weld some rod in there, or you have to run rods in the mannequins, or put 2x4s even to help support that and give that extra support, because we're planning on basically getting this sheep, and it's going to be extended out and holding on to one back leg. So you basically have to, the back leg's only 2 inches wide to three, maybe three at the most, but and you have to run those supports in there.
Talk about custom.
Yeah.
My gosh. I honestly, I have to tell you that I thought that you ordered the forms and they
Mhm.
show up. And maybe, for a client, if they've got a cat, they describe it. And then you just, all right, well, we have 10 different forms here in different shapes around the poundage of the animal. And pick it out and we'll get it in here. We'll take care of it and we'll be done. No, no, it can happen that way, I would assume, but also it's custom.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what we want to, be set apart from, all the industry basically, is we want to be able to have that once in a lifetime piece where you walk in and see that animal and say, "Hey, I've never seen that before. Where did you get that?" And they say, "Hey, the only ones that could do it for me was Leyba Creations." And we want that for our shop. We want to be that one of a kind. And we talk about how if you had a ton of mounts where a gentleman or somebody or a huntress, got an animal and they have a ton of other taxidermy there, we love it when they walk in and they see our animal and say, hey, I see the difference, whether they know what it is, but they see it. And that's why they want to choose, and that's why they want to wait for us. So that's kind of our goal.
I
Yeah.
see it, I get it, and I think the name Leyba Creations, the word creations, says it all. It's true to form, no pun intended, or maybe that you guys are very creative in terms of what you
Thank you.
do. I'm looking on your website at some of the work, and by the way, the pictures are just fantastic. They're clear. You get different views,
I
and
try to do close-ups too,
you
because a
do.
lot of time in taxidermy, you see it far away, but we try to get close-up pictures to see all like the detail in the eyes. And one thing we in our shop is we don't like a lot of putty work, and putty work is what drives your detail down and your quality down, in our opinion. And the less amount of putty work, the
Can
better
before we
detail.
continue there,
Uh-huh.
what is putty work?
Yeah, so putty work is like your finish work, like around the lip lines and eye line and stuff like that. So we fill it in with a putty and epoxy that keeps cracking, and it won't separate. But if you don't go of your animal real well, you'll have more separations. And I don't know if you've seen an animal, especially older taxidermy, where it's kind of globby looking around the mouth, and it's thick
Mm-hmm.
looking,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not clean and crisp looking, I guess you'd say. And it's just a look that it gives. And that's what we try to keep down, is the putty work. I mean, we will race. So we've had our, our taxidermists will look at something. We're like, hey, re-soak it and tuck it in better, because it's not leaving until it's perfect. And everybody knows that's kind of the thing. We will rehydrate things and before we send anything out.
That's what set you apart. And if you remember
Thank you.
last time we got together, and I'm far from the expert, but the thing I did focus on was the mouth. And
Mhm.
actually, yeah, I was like, how are you guys doing that? Because it looks so authentic. And I'm on the website now, leybacreations.com, and looking at, I'm honestly not even sure what kind of animal this is, because it's
Okay.
a close up. And let me see if I could get I'm not really sure. It's on your favorites page, but there's a close up
Okay.
of could be a giraffe, maybe. I don't know. But there's a close up of the front where
Okay.
it's the snout, and then you can click it and even go closer. I'm being very honest in saying that you can see every single hair.
Oh,
Like,
that's
no
great.
joke. I'm looking at every
Yeah.
single hair. And as I
Yep.
dig in a little bit deeper, inherently you're going to see how this was done. I can't even tell how it's done because it's so authentic. Even just the coloration on the nose and the
Hmm.
nostrils, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're not real. They're recreated. Am I correct in saying that?
So yeah, in a sense it is. I mean, they are recreated. A lot of like, and I'm not sure what you're looking at, but a lot of it could even be casted, artificial, and then we still color them and we'll do 4 layers of paint if we have to, and really blend everything out. And one thing that we use too is pastels, which are amazing. And we've got those off Matuska Taxidermy Supply. They're amazing, and they do those pastels, and that has been a game changer for us, because you can fine tune your details so drastically. I mean, from little dots to, blending out your colors, and it makes a huge difference. And but yeah, like for our cats, or if it's a javelina even, or we use artificial casted noses, which are more work. You have to cut all that out and put those in and set them correctly. And it just makes a huge difference in the quality of your mount and the finished product.
I'm a stickler for detail. So I look and appreciate this. And I'm trying to even figure out how you do it as we look around the nostrils and there's hair next to it, but I have to believe, since what you told me previously, this probably isn't really the animal's nose.
Mhm.
So if it's cast or whatever's being done there, the
Yep.
fur around it is so close
Yes. Yeah.
and so perfect, right down to the graduation of the length. And I am talking here sixteenths of an inch, where we
Yep.
go from like maybe an eighth of an inch, now down to a 16th, now down to immeasurable, and then the part of the nose. Um,
Yep.
I don't even know how you're doing that.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that that's my husband and our taxidermist when they do an artificial nose, you have to cut it, I mean, perfectly, and then you have to adhere it or glue it and basically up to the very edge of that. And then you get movement as it dries because it's leather. And then you're using clay, which as clay dries, you get shrinkage. So you have to go over that every day. And that's a big deal in our shop too, is every taxidermist we're like, hey, did you go over your work? And several times the next day throughout the week, did you reset your hair? Because my husband, I mean, I've watched him do his cats, and he'll alter every little eyelash. Basically, he'll have his eyelashes pointing, and he'll set every eyelash. He pulls like every whisker out of his cat and resets those exactly how he wants them. And that's kind of the extra work that is put into there, into the shop, basically. Those little details, it makes a big difference in the end.
This is the difference.
Yeah.
Why
Seeing
Labor
the difference.
Creations is different, because you're seeing it. I mean, I'm looking at it, and I'm zoomed in. I'm zoomed in. Like, I clicked it again to take the hourglass and go even deeper. Just amazing, the work that you you both do. I mean, it's just
Thank you.
I can't even imagine, you know, the responsibility when something comes in. Now it's on you to
Yeah.
recreate it, like literally recreate it. I'm not. I don't know where I'd begin. I'd be afraid that, this is not going to hit the mark, or we got to come up with a way to make this look real. Sometimes I'll bet you behind the scenes you're doing unconventional things to get it all done, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and when something comes into, we we know how important we're hunters too, and if we harvest an animal, it's so important how we take care of it and that we treat every piece like that. And that's why it's really important to take care of your animal in the field. And we tell everybody, don't, before you hunt, call us if you don't know, and we'll give you some pointers on how to take care of your animal, because how it's taken care of before drastically affects your quality when we get it. And people don't see what's going on until we receive it, and then we're like, oh, there's slippage, or there's hot spots or bacteria growth. And and we're responsible for this animal, and people pay a lot of money to come out here. And I we have customers that tell us stories, and we love our customers. We build super good relationships with all of our customers, and they'll tell me the story how they saved up most of their lives for an elk hunt. And it makes it even better, when it's a really important piece, and that it's on us to take care of it and do the right mount and have the best quality when they get it, and it's even better than what they imagined.
Mm. What do you think is your biggest challenge? Big responsibility here,
Yeah.
recreating this animal, as it would normally look. What do you think is the biggest challenge?
We have found lately in our shop, our biggest challenge is actually the time game. And a lot of people ask us, well, why does it take so long? And that's the biggest issue we have in our shop, because like with our cats, we're a solid 2 years out. So I mean, if we're that far out, they're like, why? And being honest is really the trick. Saying, hey, we have signs all over our shop of what species we have and what our time frame is, and we're honest about it, because if they don't know, that's when they're
Mm.
like, hey, why is it a year and a half? And 99% of the time people are fine with it. And we thought when we started telling people that we were 2 years out, we thought our inventory, and we go down, and not at all. It hasn't slowed down. We get more and more every year. We get more behind. And I mean, it's a good thing in our eyes, though,
Hmm.
because we love work. So we love to work hard. We every one of our employees work hard. It's important, and I'd rather be too busy than not busy enough. So
Well, you know what it reminds me of, Christina? It reminds me of a tattoo artist. And,
uh-huh.
where I am, there are a few that everybody talks about. You try to book with them, it's probably a year out that, you might get a cancellation
Yeah.
here and there, minimum 6 months, minimum 6 months. Why? Because they're amazing. They're amazing. I have a friend who booked a tat session. I'm
Mhm.
in the New York area, about maybe 50 minutes from New York City.
Uh-huh.
She planned it so that she would go to New York City to meet up with a traveling tattoo artist from the UK, and then had to make another appointment to go when that tattoo artist was here to finish it up. Why? Because they're amazing. You guys are amazing. So good things are worth waiting for. Um, what would you say typically? Let's say I'm going to pick a bobcat. Okay.
Mhm.
Medium size. Somebody wants that done. Nothing radical in terms of pose or anything like that. What do you think on the average it might take to get that done time wise?
We are a solid 2 years on our cats.
Very interesting. Wow. I
Yes.
honestly
Yeah.
didn't think that long, but it is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, we're a solid 2 years. And our cats, for instance, my husband's the only one that works on the cats, and he does every single one, and then he does a
Mm.
lot of the exotics as well. So he's behind. I do remind him of that all the time. And then we've got our elk taxidermist, for instance, who is a year, maybe 14 months at most.
Mm.
He that's all he does is elk. And then we've got some other really good taxidermists who they do deer and bears. And life sizes do take a little bit longer. But like our rugs are about 18 months. And then our deer about 18 or less. So
Mm.
it depends on the species and how we handle it in the shop for our taxidermists as well, and what we're taking in. It fluctuates every year. That COVID hit, I thought we would be fine because we got another taxidermist who's amazing, and we've had him for a while. And that was the year we really got behind. I think everybody was hunting, and then we've gotten more and more every year on top of that. So it's always a catch up game. And then we don't just let them leave. We still put the same quality into every mount. It's not a number game with us. We will do the same quality in every mount. So we'd rather have time on our hand than a bad mount going out.
I have to imagine too, even packing it and getting it ready for
Yeah.
shipping is not throw it in a box. Yeah, 20 minutes and then the UPS picks it up over there. No, there's so much. I bet that's a couple of day process at minimum alone to make sure
Yeah,
it's
so
safe.
we do it a little different now. The kind of old process was you crate everything and you ship it out. And crating itself creates a lot of time loss, and then they're paying us to crate things. By the time they do that, we can actually get a shipper out here who just ships taxidermy work. And I'm not kidding, they are just as amazing. That we have such good shippers, and they pick them up. We dress them up before they leave, and then we have them perfect. They take them and put them in the trailer, and they secure everything perfectly. And we have less time in the shipping, and then they don't pay us for it, they pay the shipper, and then it's better taken care of than shipping freight, because they're rough on things. And these
Mm.
guys are hunters, and they've gone through the process of everything. Like we tell them, hey, we don't want our cat touched, like you don't touch the hair. And they do such a great job, and it's a team effort, from start to finish in taxidermy.
Well, it just goes to show there's experts at everything, be it shipping
Yes.
or in terms of what you do. You are the experts. I'm giving you, you take that title. I've never, and I've seen other taxidermy work, nothing like this, like nothing meticulous. And I'm picky. I really am, right down to I'd be
Love
looking at the hair coming out of the nose. Like, it's perfect. I can't find anything wrong. And it's almost like, a magician does an act and you're trying to figure out how they do it. What do they do there? I'm looking close, like, all right, how do they do that? I have no answers. It looks that real.
Thank you.
Best way to connect with you, and you can work with anybody essentially anywhere on the planet, but you specialize in the States. How do we find you?
So, our number one thing, way to get a hold of us is through our website. All our information is on there, from our phone numbers. And I tell everybody, hey, they can call me, text me anytime. I've got customers that will send texts, anytime. And I love it. We keep connected. I save everything on my phone, and then we love our Instagram as well, because I always put pictures on there. And I love that when we first opened, you can see us gradually like improving, and the difference from the first of our Instagram versus the end is huge. And it's funny because when we first opened, we're like, what could we do better? And we've changed so much throughout the years. It's incredible. But all our information is on the website, our Instagram, our TikTok. You can get a hold of us through there.
Fantastic hanging out with you today and learning about this craft. It is just, I could spend hours on the website. It's that good.
Thank you.
Christina, thank you for today.
Thank you.
My best to your husband. And next time we get together, maybe we'll take a look at some of the stuff you've done in real time here.
That would be amazing. We'd love it.
Beautiful. Thanks. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.